All right. Hello, my name is Ava, and I'm here with Ed, iIrish auditor. So just to begin, could you tell us a little bit about your role with iIrish?
Yeah, I'm checking to make sure that our magazines are out and displayed. I have a tough job. I have most of our uh, print issues are distributed at coffee shops, libraries, and Irish bars. Three of my favorite places. So I'm a former librarian too. So a lot of the libraries I go into, I recognize people, or at least I know of them, and I have a good time building rapport with those folks. But those are my three main target areas. And there are some good bakeries and other places along the way too. Uh, Last month I did like 97 checks stops. I'm part time, so I'm not doing it full time. But John and I have talked a bit about ways we can be more efficient as far as the display of the magazine and how to pick them up better. And so we're trying to implement those. Like I said, I was a former librarian. I was an adult service librarian in Shaker Heights, and I was a technology center supervisor in Lakewood for a number of years too, almost a decade. So I'm familiar with like programming and trying to make sure things are seen by the audience that we need to see.
And how many locations do you distribute the magazines to?
I believe there's over 400. The most I've been able to do is maybe about 105 in a month. That was back in like November before the heavy weather set in. And so within 20 hours, that's maybe like I'm lucky if I could do 4 or 5 in an hour. And I always go over my 20 hours, but so far I've kept it pretty reasonable. I've hit 25, 27 in the beginning, but that's before I knew where all the magazines were. And I'd always have to go in to a bar owner or bartender and say, "Hey, where do you keep our magazines?" And then they'd say, "Oh, yeah, they're over in the corner. They're on this shelf." Library is a little bit more intricate. They have them in a variety of different places, never consistent by the front door. So, of course, I try and get them to do that. And I was successful, I think, in Berea because last month I went in, I talked to the manager who I used to work with, and they were way in the back, but she's got the tax documents out there now for people, and she moved all the free magazines into the front in the lobby, which was great as far
Mhm.
as I'm concerned.
Right. I'm sure you'll get more readership that way.
Mhm.
And how did you connect with iIrish?
I was I've been getting the magazine's e-contact since around 2016, 2017, every month. And so I keep up with, I've been keeping up with it that way if I didn't have the actual magazine myself. And then I guess in September, I must have seen an ad where they were looking for distribution auditors. And I clicked on the job description and said, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. I'm I was winding down golf season in September, so I had more time on my hands. So I figured, okay, let me go see that. So John and I had a discussion, and I started in October of last year, 23.
Very cool. And I also saw, so you're the author of the book, A Guy's Guide to Throat Cancer, Do's and Don'ts of Recovery.
Yes.
Could you tell me how nice you have it ready? Could you tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about the writing of that book and your own experiences?
I had throat cancer in 2017. That's when it was discovered. I had treatments in the first half of 2018. And the book talks about what I used was have you ever heard of the platform Caring Bridge?
I heard it for the first time when I was reading about the book.
Okay, the Caring Bridge is a nice platform if you're isolated because of an immune deficiency, or if you've traveled around to different places. My sister had a brain tumor in late 2017, and we were moving her to all sorts of different hospitals and nursing homes and things like that for her care. And unfortunately, Betty passed in December 2017, just as I had been diagnosed. And I was put in for my leave at work, and my supervisor said, "Ed, you got to check out Caring Bridge after what happened with Betty. A lot of people are going to be interested in what's going on with you, and you don't want to, you'll be weak. You won't be able to call everybody, email up people." So I did one entry every few days and let people know what I was doing. And you could upload music posts to it too. And one day I loaded AC/DC Thunderstruck song, and it was showing aircraft shooting rockets, tanks blowing off their cannons and things. And I posted and I said, I hope the radiation is doing this to my cancer cells. And one of my librarian friends, Audrey, she said, "Oh, Ed, you're such a guy." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I guess that sticks." And what I did was I noticed then after I was back to work, a lot of people loved the post. They were missing them. And I looked back and I was just going to print everything out as a PDF, but I had known because I did my own research prior to going in under the knife that there wasn't much written about it, especially for laymen, as far as throat cancer goes. My official cancer was oropharyngeal cancer, and there's ones with the nasal and various other head and neck region. So I noticed in my posts, basically, they were all like guy oriented. I wrote them so I would keep people upbeat because a lot of people were afraid I was going to be next in our family to pass through cancer. And I didn't want my family and friends to be that worried. So I was inspirational. I used a lot of Bible verses and things like that. The book talks about, I use like a dartboard to talk about chemotherapy, the rockets, of course, radiation, the guitar for talking about like music therapy. I had a lot of good songs I would pass on to people, like Hello Old Friends by Clapton, like when people came in to visit me, and weights for like hydration and keeping up your physical strength in order to battle the illness, all hanging on the cross, hanging on faith. So that's where that process developed and came from. And it's been fun. I've got a Facebook page out there. If you go to facebook.com, A Guy's Guide to Throat Cancer, you'll find I upload 3 posts a week with either Bible verses or excerpts from the book or music or bulletins about studies and things like that going on. And I've been boosting the ads. It's been very successful. Last week, I had a verse from 2 Timothy. For God didn't give us a spirit of cowardice, but one of faith and strength and self-control. And that got 20,000 people it reached, over 187 shares. So I feel good about that I'm able to get the message out and inspire other people to, like, keep up the good fight.
And could you describe sounds like you've kind of developed a little bit of a following or at least a community through this. Could you tell me about that?
I have 1,800 followers right now on the Facebook. Not as many for Instagram. I'm not really an Instagram kind of person, and only a few hundred through that. But I haven't really Instagram. You really have to go in and be active with other people in order to get them to follow you back.
Right.
But what I've done is I'm part of a cancer survivors group. Every Thursday morning we meet and through Zoom. And actually, one of the guys last night, it was pretty cool. I learned that Tracy Chapman was his first cousin. Do
What?
you know Tracy Chapman?
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah. And so this Jay Chapman was the man, and he'd been up to Cleveland before, taking care of a really sick relative, which wasn't her, but might have been was part of their family, maybe her aunt. Anyway, he was on. There was an hour special on the Summit Radio in Akron, which streams through the internet. So I contacted Jay again last night and told him, "Hey, buddy, an hour long special on your cousin is going to be on tonight." So that was cool. And we try and support each other that way. Um, I've got a procedure that's coming up there. It's going to be like throat stretching. 5 years after having radiation, that's still having an impact on the body, and my throat and esophageal line are hardening, and it's making it more difficult to swallow. So they're going to put a balloon down there and puff it up a little bit. It's a quick procedure. I was talking with one of my guys in the cancer club yesterday morning, and he said he's got one, and he's about 6 years past treatments. His arteries from his heart are hardening up in the neck and going towards his brain, which is a lot more serious. So I'm, knock on wood, I'm fine with just the throat. Hopefully that doesn't happen to me, because that could be he could, he knows the risk of stroking out from something like that, even 5 or 6 years later. But other than that, the program's in remission. And the cancer community I belong to, that one, Head and Neck Cancer Society, I'm an ambassador for. I haven't done that much. I've tried to get the word out though to local hospitals when there's uh, April is going to be uh, head and neck cancer month. So if like free screenings and things like that, they're already pretty well developed here in the Cleveland area. There's a real strong contingent, and we've got two of the best hospitals in the world battling it out. University Hospitals and Cleveland Clinic. So they're all over, like, trying to get people screened and, like, properly taken care of. So that works out pretty good.
And going back to your connection with iIrish, and what is your own Irish background?
My mom was Irish. My grandparents on her side were Irish. She grew up in the Old Angle area around West 28th Street. And so she always, like, emphasized, my dad's German, but so I'm German Irish. But the people are basically in our family, they appreciate the Irish culture. I've been to Dublin myself. I was there in 2015, had a nice tour of the island. And we've always, her last name was Walsh. And we've always like gone to the Irish festivals when she was around. She's passed away. But the it's Irish history has been important to me. I appreciate the music, definitely, and definitely like the overall happy um, happy side of the culture. When I was growing up, we always watched movies like they just had it on TV last week, The Long Gray Line, about Irish immigrants who worked at West Point. Very sentimental movie. Very anyone who sees this and has seen the movie know what I'm talking about. And the other ones with John Wayne and various others. Um, so Irish culture and entertainment are important to me. As an ex-librarian for 25 years, I've always been striving to help people have the light bulb go out over their heads and to learn as much as they can. I didn't want to be a teacher, but I'm fine with the librarian work and helped educate a lot of people, I think. Developed a lot of good programs while I was there and working. And this is just an extension of that, Ava. It's just something that's like, it's a nice thing to do to help support. The magazine is chock full of, as you know, Irish culture and educational things, historical things, language things. So I like it. I'm down with the cause.
And what would you say is the most meaningful thing to you about being a part of the Irish community?
The most meaningful thing is camaraderie. When I meet people, when I go into the bars or wherever, like, it's everyone's always friendly. They're usually good spirits, and the camaraderie, I believe, is the best thing I like about it. I know, like, the Irish are known for, like, their boxing and stuff like that. They have a little symbol, but you go into places like the Pride of Erin or PJ McIntyre's and different places like that, and you see groups of people that are, you know, warm, friendly. Once they know what I'm there for, because I'm a stranger in a lot of these places, well, once they know what I'm there for, they're like, oh, sit down, have a beer with us, whatever. And I'm like, guys, I'd love to, but if I did that for every place I had to stop, I'd never get done. So they're all cool. But I've gone back to a number of them just at night when I'm off duty
Mhm.
and off duty from this, I should say, and enjoying learning about the different places more. Went to the Plank House the other day, and I was glad to see we had a stand in there earlier. We had about close to 30 magazines in that place in the back though, and it wasn't well lit. So I asked John to put a stand up. He put a stand up. When I went back on the first of this month, it happened to be their Irish Jam Night. We only had one magazine left, so that worked out pretty well. So if I could keep on doing stuff like that, I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, and just like you said, it sounds like a great way to meet new people. You're going into each of these places. I'm sure they recognize you and with time and yeah. And
Yeah, yeah. After a while,
right. And is there anything else that was really my last question? Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you'd like to add?
no, I know we've got a big challenge ahead of us with the transitioning from, like, I love the print copies myself. I'm old school. I'm into my 60s, believe it or not. And the transition to electronics. I'm fortunate because I grew up with I was a webmaster. I've been working in a variety of different things, which educated me on computers. So I even found out about the job through Constant Contact, the e-newsletter. So for me, I'm comfortable with it, but I'm just hoping that we can extend that media into letting other people know about the scope of different types of articles that we have and the different types of things that they can learn through the magazine, and not just stop and look at the page with the jokes or the current concerts and have a chance to browse through. That's the one thing that's a challenge for anybody in media nowadays. I used to work at a radio station, so I know the battle. It's hard for people to be able to, like, grasp the whole thing like you can with the magazine. And like, you might look for something and in a way trying to find out where's my band listing for the thing. You find out, oh, here's an article about Irish arts and crafts,
Right.
and there's a great picture of a couple of big dogs. Wow. And besides the advertising, and then finally, oh yeah, here's what I was looking for, what's going on in Rocky River and Lakewood and stuff. But to get to there, then you might find some good things, and that's what's going to be the challenge for you and the variety of other staff members who are working on the electronic side of things. Right now, I don't have that much to update you with or help you with in that side because all my skills are pretty much older. But I like doing the print route and trying to, like, at least make sure we're visible in that way.
Right. And it's interesting what you said about that whole, with an analog version, that journey to find what you're looking for, you find other articles along the way. I've thought about that before with even things like the internet, where in the past my parents would walk to the library, go to the library, get a book, look through it, and it's that whole
Yeah.
venture and journey along the way to find that information. Whereas for me, it's so instantaneous, it's a completely different process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And it's efficient without a doubt.
Right.
And with time management being as it is with a lot of people, that's important. But it's somehow you got to be able to get them to, I don't know if it's using the side arrows to say, oh, what else? Like, to entice them to click and go beyond what they were looking for, to find a good recipe,
Right.
or something interesting about the holiday coming up, or just even like, this date in Irish history and those different types of things, which, to be fair, the electronic newsletter has been capturing a lot of, which is good. So you do get that little, like, stream of, like, oh, here's a good article, here's a good article, here's a photograph that's engaging. That helps. But like, we'll see as we want to grow the audience, it'll be challenging to have people spread out and see those things more.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Everybody have a great rest of the winter time here. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day.